You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Well, hello, kits and cubs, and good morning, and welcome to Season 3 and episode number 89 of the Daily Beaver here on the Crier Media Network. Today, recording day is Friday, March 31st, 2023, and after a colder than usual day here at the Beaver Lodge, it's going to be very nice here. It is also the Transgender Day of Visibility, so sisters and brothers, we see you. Kit Ellen says Douglas looks naughty today, and you would be right. I am feeling naughty because though today recording day is Friday, March 31st, 2023, it really is December 25th, 2023. We've gone forward in time because it's the most wonderful time of the year. The Orange Shitstain was indicted, and now
Oh yes, indictment day.
Oh man, I'm so happy. Oh, it's Christmas. And my birthday and Canada Day all rolled up in one.
Well, he still
Return on investment day.
he still has to get convicted, though, right?
I know, but geez, let me have this, man. After a life of criming, we get to break out. I feel some Lizzo.
Mm.
Yeah, it's like turn up the music, turn down the lights. I got a feeling the case gonna be airtight. Okay, all right, it's about damn time. Yeah, let's go, man.
I'm feeling good as hell.
You were about to go to jail. You were about to go to the jail. Check his pants. Oh man, it's just, I am so happy. Yes. Yesterday, finally, news waiting for and proof, maybe, possibly, maybe that it is true that no man is above the law in the United States, because so far we have not seen very much proof of that being the case. It's been mostly like, well, everybody's one man specifically seemed to be above the law up until now, but yeah, I know I got to manage my expectations. I know.
Man can dare to dream.
Yeah. Let me have this. Now, it seems that after telling everybody that was going to happen last week when he really did have no clue, and then telling everybody that there would be death and destruction if he got indicted, and after telling all his people that they need to come, come to my arraignment, will be wild. He didn't actually use those specific words, but and nobody came out. Well, now people might start coming out now, but anyway, yeah. He basically just came out and said that we did not see what we saw. So his team says this was not an indictment for a crime. There was no crime because normally we indict people for no crimes.
Yeah, that's not how it goes.
Just the way it worked, right? So yeah, it seems that for fudging the books and for asking somebody to cover something up, he is going to be charged. There, how would I say it? How would I say it? Well, Michael Cohen said that this validates the saying that nobody is above the law, not even a former president. He was indicted in Manhattan. Trump likes to pump himself up so he can go around and tell everyone that he's number one. He is the first president ever in history to be indicted.
This is true.
Also the first president to lose the popular vote in 2 consecutive elections. Also the first president to be impeached twice. Also the first president. Anyway, so yeah, he's number one. He's number one. He's number one. Whoa! I need this big foam finger. Whoa!
Can you say Schadenfreude?
Oh man! Again, I know it is wrong to be this happy at the misfortune of others, but I don't really care. Okay, so Yusuf Selam, one of the Central Park Five. Remember that case in the United States where there was a bugger in Central Park that was murdered, and they suspected that it was 5 people, of course, who were not white, that did that, and it seems that they were proven that was not guilty, and there was DNA evidence, but Trump still took a full-page newspaper ad calling for the death penalty for them. Well, Yusuf had a one-word comment. Karma.
Comes for everybody in the end, right?
Mm-hmm. So he's been informed. It seems that because it is white-collar crime and not violent crime, he has the option of when it is that he will surrender, as opposed to people coming up to his door and grabbing him by the collar and bringing him in. There has been talk about whether or not he would want a mugshot and perp walk. It seems that word on the street is that he actually wants those things because he will then use them as marketing things to tell everyone how oppressed and how unfair. So unfair. So unfair. So he will surrender, and when he does that, then he will be booked, which means the fingerprints, the mugshot, and the perp walk to the court for his arraignment. Now, this sort of came as a surprise because on Thursday there was an announcement that the grand jury would be meeting again, that they were going to meet again, but that they were not going to hear evidence. They did not say when they made that announcement that they were not going to vote, or that they were going to vote. It seems that Team Trump, at least lawyer Team Trump, thought that there would probably be another week or two before that this was going to happen. But it seems that the grand jury had heard enough and said, yeah, slap the fucker. So the legal team was caught off guard. They weren't expected to rain arraignments yesterday. Adam Schiff, who, if you've been following the January 6th things, who's been very involved, he's a congressman who will now be running for the Senate seat being vacated by Dianne Feinstein in California, along with Katie Porter, who'll be running for the seat. So lots of high caliber content trying for one seat, and that means a lot of people will not be left with the seat once this game of musical political chairs is over. He stated that the indictment of a former president is unprecedented, but so too is the unlawful conduct in which Trump has been engaged. A nation of laws must hold the rich and powerful accountable, even when they hold high office, especially when they do. To do otherwise is not democracy. So you're going to hear all these people turn around and says, this is unprecedented. It's the first, it's the first one. And if we could go after Trump, we can go after you. And I was like, okay, yeah.
Isn't that how the law works? You break the law, you get arrested.
Well, that's the whole thing, right? And that's it's like, yes, it is true that these charges are unprecedented, but everything he has done has pretty much been unprecedented. So it kind of fits. Unprecedented happening for an unprecedented person who did unprecedented things. It's not wild. It's the law. So welcome to consequence culture, biatch. Hope you like it. Hope orange really is your color too. Now it seems that the prosecutors are also looking. The reason why this is taking time is that they might be looking at other charges, not just the expending of the $130,000 to pay off Stormy Daniels. Everybody was going, "Wow, that's all there's going to be. There's all there's going to be," and they've been keeping cards close to the vest and playing it really, really tight on letting the information out. But it seems that they are also asking about the Karen McDougal catch and kill case. Karen McDougal was another Playboy Playmate of the Year, I believe, with whom Donald Trump had some type of relationship, and along David Pecker, great name, from the National Enquirer. Talk about some accidental humor there, right? And Trump and a whole bunch of people had this scheme going on whenever he did something wrong to finally corner that person, pay them some money, for their story, and then never publish the story. That's what catch and kill is you catch the story, you do all the interviews, you get it all, you pay the person, you get the exclusive rights to the story, and then you bury it instead of publishing it. So they're looking at that, and it seems that these types of things may have been done a few times, and that would bring in what is called in the state of New York the little RICO charges. Federally, in the United States, they have RICO charges. I can't remember what it stands for off the top of my head, but Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. So they're talking about racketeering here. An organized, basically some type of organized crime. And certain states have similar statutes modeled on the federal statute, which is then called Little RICO. So it seems that under Little RICO, they're looking at these catch and kill stories potentially as being some type of form of racketeering, and which would make for an enterprise corruption charge to go along with the charges of having misexpensed this money or misreported this money. According to the United States Criminal Code, a person is guilty of enterprise corruption when having knowledge of the existence of a criminal enterprise and the nature of its activities, and being employed by or associated with such an enterprise, he or she 1. Intentionally conducts or participates in the affairs of an enterprise by participating in a pattern of criminal activity, keyword pattern, intentionally acquires or maintains an interest in or control of the enterprise by participating in a pattern of criminal activity, that's 2, or 3, participates in a pattern of criminal activity and knowingly invests any proceeds derived from that conduct or proceeds derived from the investment or use of those proceeds in an enterprise. So it seems that lawyers may be looking at that as well as additional charges in the indictments. The indictments so far are still under seal from the grand jury, so we don't really know what exactly he's going to be charged with. There is some rumors that one of them will be a felony. So there might be more than one charge, not one of them's a felony. Kit Jim asks, do the lawyers get scooped up in those charges? The lawyers would not get scooped up in these specific charges. There are individual processes for them, and some of the lawyers are already involved in them based for months based on other things that they have done. Yeah. I see Jen says 34 charges total, so maybe there's been another release since we've been on air, and since I last listened to news that have revealed them. But last I had checked, they were still under seal. So I will do a check for that on the show while Mr. Grizzly's talking at some point and bring you more on that. Another development is that Trump's former chief financial officer, Alan Weiselberg, seems to be changing lawyers. Alan Weiselberg's lawyer was being paid for by the Trump organization, but it seems that the people in the Trump organization are not really too happy with the lawyer. They feel that he has been giving too much to his client and not caring enough about the man who's paying the bills. Now, Alan Weiselberg got a very, very sweet deal, only 5 months for lots of criming to testify against the Trump organization. He technically didn't testify against Trump. He'll probably still be retained to testify against the organization in other cases. But typically, if someone is changing their lawyer at this phase of the game, it might be because they think that their interests are no longer being put above those of the person paying the bills. Of course, the person paying the bills is doing so because they want their interests put above the client. So Alan Weisselberg may have seen where his bread is buttered and decided to change lawyers. Don't know. There's not too much details. There's also word on the tweet that the change in lawyers may have come from the Trump organization itself, that people on the inside may have convinced Eric Trump to cut off the funding for the lawyer because, well, the lawyer was doing his job too well on behalf of his client. So that's about where things stand now on what I have. But yeah, it started. And that's the first domino. Because I'm sure with all these different cases going on, a lot of people were wondering, well, who's got to go first? Who's got to go first? Because he's got that case in Georgia with Fonnie Willis leading the charge there. And it seems that all the people that have been trying to get out of having to testify by invoking privileges have all been losing their cases, even Mike Pence. Yeah, he tried to say that he was a member of the Congress on the day he was reading the votes. So therefore he couldn't talk because on that specific day, even though he wasn't elected to Congress, he was a member of Congress because he was presiding the ceremony. So the judge said, okay, with the speech and debate clause, everything you were doing during the ceremony, on opening the envelopes and reading the names and whatnot, okay, you won't have to testify about that. But everything that happened before that, all your conversations with Trump that were maybe you noticed him talking about criminal stuff, and all the things that happened after you left that chamber where you were opening the envelopes and reading the vote, you have to testify about all that, though. So we'll grant you your speech and clause for the little things that you were doing in that room at that time, but nothing else. Yeah, someone's in trouble. Someone's in trouble. And you love to see it. You really, really do love to see it. So yeah, there you go, buddy. Enjoy your life. Maybe even enjoy your life sentence. You never know.
Time will tell.
Okay. So now that we've brought joy and happiness to everyone, Mr. Grizzly, I did not ask you. Did I ask you how your mental health was today? I don't think I did. So how are you and how's your mental health today? I was so excited.
Yes, you were. You were on a roll, so I wasn't going to interrupt you. I figured, you're having a delightful, gleeful start to the day. So why ruin that?
Wow.
No, I'm great. I'm awesome. I'm a little tired because
sure
I didn't get to bed till 2 a.m. because there was this little. I did a thing last night.
You did a thing. You did quite a thing. I'm a little envious.
Did a little thing last night. Went out to see Classified with our good buddy, friend of the podcast, somebody you're going to be working with on a regular basis very soon. There's a picture of me and him out in Burnstown, which is a small community of about 100 people, not far from Arnprior, just a little past Arnprior. And of course, your response was, "What the hell is this?" And then, of course, Joe Williamson's.
You've been holding out on me, my co-host. Who's your kid?
Well, since he's 46 and I'm 54, I'd have to. Wow, I'm 8 years old. No, I wasn't fathering children at that age. I don't have any children whatsoever. None. Seriously. You can't even approach me and say, well, there's always a Nope. Not the way I like to do it. Let your imagination run wild.
Oh, here we go. You can tell it's a Friday. We're already getting casual.
Well, I'm running on 3 hours sleep, so
yeah. I'm running on about an hour less than I thought I would get. Not for anything wrong, but my I think my beaver sweetie is hitting the point in his recovery where he's having trouble sleeping through the night, where he's getting a little uncomfortable now and then. Wakes up and then gets up for a while. So he did that last night, and when he came back to bed, I think within like 10 minutes of putting his head on the pillow, he was snoring again. It's like, oh, you came to bed, you moved around, you woke me up, now you're snoring, so I guess I'm up now.
Apparently.
Which was good, actually, today, because I got up about half an hour earlier, which allowed me to get all this information on the arraignment. Because normally I'm up.
Go ahead.
I said normally I'm up a little bit later, so I have time to get a little bit of food in me and clean the sleep out of my eyes and make myself minimally presentable. And then I listen maybe to the 5-minute or 10-minute update in case something major happened, and that's it. But today I had like a good 45 minutes, so I just settled in on the sofa and with a bowl of cereal and took some notes and just a leisurely start to the day. Yes.
So I have a quick clip for you from last night's show.
All right.
I'm going to, because this is.
Yes, please.
Quick clip from last night's show, and that's all I'm showing because this was a thing for Blackballed. But I got to share this because this is really cool.
I love this song too. Oh, I don't think we have any audio.
Oh, no audio? Well,
we just heard something from the kit say audio with a question mark.
Oh, sorry about that. We'll try that.
I wasn't hearing any either, but normally when I don't hear any, it's still going there, so I didn't say anything to interrupt it.
It's because when I brought it in, I forgot to share the system audio. So that's my bad. That's my bad. Bad tech. Bad producer. It happens.
Here we go.
Mistake. All right, here we go.
I'm just living in the conditions of war, and I've been lost in the rhythm and miss some more. Too many late nights in the liquor store, too many bad decisions. I got some time, no sweat, no beer, no blood, no tears. I go hard, and I ain't making no excuse. I'm holding to while I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Cause if you think about the family's supposed to lose, it ain't all that you're broken, don't confuse. No, I was a first class rookie, taking out bodies in my all black room. Man, a mystery, you know the history. Get it or get it, boom, I'm out of here. I really do lose before I know.
So that was just a few seconds from last show, an acoustic set, literally an acoustic hip-hop set, which, where's my camera out of focus?
I think I was dancing too hard.
Maybe.
Shifted your camera from over here.
There we go. It was weird. I had to go to Manuel. Oh, Manuel. Manuel, he's a good guy. We work together right now. Manuel. Anyway.
Manuel, yes.
Yeah, it was Inner Ninja by Classified. It was one of the closing songs from last night's show. And,
His biggest hit.
Yeah, biggest hit, but yeah, by far.
Yep.
And it just such a danceable. But yeah, an acoustic hip hop show, which I didn't think was a possible thing. And he didn't just pull it off. He knocked it right out of the park. Small venue, but really intimate venue. Like a really cool spot. And I don't want to talk too much about it because it's for James. He's got a whole blackballed segment coming up on it with an interview, and you'll see. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to spoil it.
He's interviewed him twice recently as well.
Yes,
and, I've listened with him, and they're great. It's this thing. He's reworked all his songs and made them acoustic, and I personally like it because I think, his lyrics are genius, and he's got great flow. And I think that when you take out all those production things and just make it acoustic, you really get to hear the quality
the song.
Of
Yes,
the song. And the words hit different. The moods hit a little different. So yeah, he's absolutely fantastic. Kit Lindheim says that's quite a cozy set indeed. He's been doing specifically small venues, and he was nominated for Juno for the album as well, of doing his redoing his songs as acoustic. And I thought for sure he would win, but he did not this year. There was something that people preferred more. The song Ellen is called Inner Ninja. It's his biggest hit, but he's got lots of them that are really great. He's got a song called Changes that has Anjuli singing the chorus line, which is fantastic. He's got a song called 3 Foot Tall, which is
great song.
If
he played that last night too.
Yeah. He's excellent. He's really, really excellent. So, please take some time to check it out. Kit's Classified is his name. And even if you're someone that's not particularly into rap, you might really like his music because of the lyrical content. There's actual substance.
Yes. And well, the two musicians you saw him on stage with, outstanding. Both musicians and singers. Wait till you hear these guys sing. Like, holy crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really good time.
Anyway, I'm so envious.
It was fun. It was a good night. Yeah.
Oh, I can imagine. I'm so happy for you though.
Thanks. It was a good time. It was and one of those things is like, so Burnstown is 45, 50 minutes away. And I thought, okay, I'll try and get there a little bit earlier. And I neglected to check to see if the Sens were playing last night.
They were.
Yes. And they won, which was awesome. But of course, you know where I live.
Yes.
Burnstown is near Arnprior. For those of you who are unaware, that is in the west side.
Ever to get home?
To get there. Getting home was easy. Getting there was difficult because the game started. Game starts at 7. I left my house at 6, and it took me 45 minutes to get across town.
Yep.
So, added 25 minutes to the trip. Getting home was easy because it was like 12:30 by the time I left. So no big deal. There was nobody there. But yeah, it was a bit of a challenge to get there. So I'm like, why is the traffic? I'm thinking, is there a Sens? I didn't think the Sens were playing tonight. So I'm driving along, and I just hit a thing on the dashboard there, and it's like, yeah, there's a game. I'm like, okay, that would explain it. Yeah. Rihanna just put a link in the chat there. You guys want to chat? A link for Classified. He's good. Yeah. He's good. So good Canadian kid. Real nice guy too.
Good Canadian kid. Yep, from the Maritimes. Our Sens, our beloved Sens, are now in 10th. They need to be top 8. They're 5 points behind the Pittsburgh Penguins. 5 points.
They might make the playoffs. How many? Is it 8 or 8 games or 6 games? 7.
7, yeah. They're at 75. I think there's 82 in the season.
Yes, 82. Yeah, so they could pull it off. They could make the playoffs.
They could pull it off.
You got to remember, all you got to do is get into the playoffs, because after that, it's a whole new season. You put together a string of wins. I'm not predicting they'll win the Stanley Cup. No. Hey, look, stranger things have happened. I'm not predicting that, but you can get into the playoffs, and you could be the number 1 team in your division and near the top of the league for 5 years running and get knocked out in the first round. Here's looking at you, Toronto.
Yep.
Sorry, not sorry.
Well, that kind of happened to us I have a curling update from while my mixed doubles team did really well and won its first match. My two-person stick, we missed the playoffs by this much. The top 16 to get in.
In
We
construction,
finished
that
seventh.
measurement's called a CH.
Yeah, we finished 17th. To 16 go in 17th, and it was literally the fact that the team that we were tied with, we had one more loss. We had one more win than they did, but we had one more loss, and the losses were used to break the tie, not the wins. So close. So
That's
close.
life. Life
Ugh.
happens.
Darn. Had our, and it was really basically what happened for us is we had a rock that we were trying to take out, and we had to hit it on this side, and I happened to hit it on that side, which changed the hole. So I made the shot, I hit the rock, but it overcurled just at the last minute, and that's how we lost the game. And that's how we didn't get to the playoffs. I was so close. So close. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yes, Jen knows what I'm talking about.
In Scotland, it's a red CH.
It's a unit of measurement in construction. Just move it a CH.
Yes. Ah, man.
I'm not
So,
going to explain it.
All right, Mr. Grizzly, do you have any things for us? Because
I got
started with my stuff today.
Quick little hit for you here is, you know how I always say the robots are coming for your job? AI is coming for your paycheck. And specifically, where is it? I have a whole thing here. Advances in artificial intelligence promise to boost productivity and global GDP. Bad news is it could cost you your job. The study estimated 2/3 of jobs in the US and Europe are exposed to AI automation. A study of ChatGPT maker OpenAI put that number as high as 80%.
Ooh.
Now, here's why it matters. Automation putting people out of work is nothing new. Of course, we know about this. This has been around since the dawn of time. AI is just the most recent iteration. What is new is the type of jobs that will be affected. Well, robots previously took the jobs on assembly lines. Now it's white-collar workers who will sustain losses. A study by the University of Pennsylvania found blue-collar industries were likely to remain relatively untouched by AI, with motorcycle mechanics, oil refinery workers, and short-order cooks amongst the least affected, though cooks will still have to go against Flippy the Robot. I don't know if you're familiar with Flippy the Robot. It's a burger flipping robot.
Okay.
The study also claims that information processing roles like court reporters and blockchain engineers are exposed. And writers of quizzes and pop culture listicles could be at risk of replacement, as BuzzFeed employees are finding out. BuzzFeed is quietly publishing whole AI-generated articles, not just quizzes. So, interesting. The bottom line, AI could be the first technology in modern memory to cause mass job losses for the highly educated, and workers are starting to worry. A ZipRecruiter survey following ChatGPT's release found 62% of job seekers worry AI will blow up their careers. I've been saying this for how long now? Years, quite honestly, years, that between bots and AI, we're going to be losing millions of jobs. The interview we did with Keith Bogue, over a year and a half ago?
About that, yeah.
Was it 2 years ago? Anyway,
It was just, I think we just joined the network, so maybe,
was it?
Maybe
Okay.
a year ago. Yeah.
So the interview we did with Keith Bogue, I had a discussion about how, look, they have automated driving vehicles right now. What happens to the trucking industry? Long-haul truckers will disappear because they'll have electric trucks that can drive themselves from distribution point to distribution point. Then you'll have stuff offloaded and have local delivery people do that for the next couple of years. Eventually, those jobs will go away too. So when I say the robots are coming for your jobs, it's not a joke. It's a legit thing, which is why we need to make bots. You calculate the amount of hours they work for the job that they do. What would the income be for a human being, and then tax the bot on that, because their profit margin for the company that employs the bots, for want of a better term, will be saving billions in labor costs. So they have to pay a tax on that. That'll have to go back into the system to create a universal basic income, but it'll have to be better than just basic, because you'll now have people with master's degree who are suddenly out of a job.
Yep. And here's the thing too, is when we're doing that policy, then I guess, do we give the robots pay increases?
Well, this is what's going to have to, right? So, and the pay
gets better so that we keep.
Yeah. Like they won't
So-
actually get paid, but you'd calculate. You'd have to have
Yes,
a calculation.
But that's what I mean. So who's good? But here's the thing: is they won't give us pay increases now when we're humans.
Yeah, I know. So
we can
we're
knock on their door and say, "Can we have a raise?"
basically we're screwed. So the question begins. The question is this the beginning of the end of money?
Mm.
I mean, like very, very tiny tip of the iceberg. Just it looks like a single snowflake in the ocean. You know, there's a giant berg beneath it because it just hasn't popped out of the water yet. And I'm thinking this could be where money begins to end. Look, it's not going to end in my lifetime. I'm 54 years old. So let's say I live for another 45 years. Let's say I make it 46 years. Let's say I make it to 100. I don't think money will be gone in that time frame. But I do believe sometime after I've shuffled off this mortal coil, that money will cease to exist, because let's face it, you'll have greedy people who don't want to pay a damn thing to anybody while they put everybody out of work. Well, who's going to pay for your goods? If you're not employing people, they don't have money to put back into the system. Who pays for the goods and services you're trying to provide with no labor costs? I mean, there's a big cyclical thing. Somebody much smarter than me will be able to defend this argument and present justifiable reasons on as to how to why this exists. But you'll also have somebody else who will come out in defense of money and say, no, this is why we got to keep it going, which basically boils down to, so I can feel better about myself, about those lesser thans that don't have what I have. This is what it always has been. The people with more money, not everyone, not absolutely everyone, but more than you realize, feel so self-important because they're paid a better wage than somebody else who does something else for a living, that they are better than you somehow. I've seen it happen to so many people. And sometimes they get brought back down to earth. Sometimes I'm the one who brings them back down to earth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to get into the details of it, but I've been in that situation where suddenly I realized this individual thought that they were better than me only because they were earning more money.
Yep.
And then when I pointed out what I did and how much I worked and how hard I worked and how I had to put my body and life in jeopardy for just to earn a paycheck. And they said, well, I work hard too. I go, yeah, I'm not questioning whether you work hard. You worked an 80-hour week, so did I. The difference is, at any point in time on the job I was doing, I could have been maimed permanently or killed.
Mm-hmm.
And yet you earn more than 10 times what I'm earning. And do you not, like, there's the whole difference there.
Right.
Anyway, we brought that person back down to earth and they came back to being who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Power corrupts,
Yep.
Money corrupts too. Money
Yep.
corrupts your mind because you suddenly feel like, I have all this cash. I earned this. I deserve this. I'm entitled to. No, you're not, man. Somebody overpaid you for something that you're doing. And it gave you a bloated sense of self-importance. I've seen it happen to so many people. Look, there's a point in time where I was starting to earn some good money and I saw that could happen to me. And I said, this I don't want to be that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I refuse to. I mean, I've been shitting on that guy my whole life. So why would I suddenly join that club? So,
Mhm.
I had to re-examine myself and do some, looking inward and repairing my thought processes. Because like I said, people, well, Linda sums it up. They consider people who do manual labor as replaceable.
Mhm.
We're human capital.
Mhm.
Right?
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, I know that was kind of a long-winded rant, but
Right, that's okay. No, because it's important to mention, because people's relationship with money is, my relationship with money is completely different to many people's either as well, because of the way I grew up, right? having
Yes.
grown up in foster homes and relatively poor, and you could be living in a big house, but you're reminded every single second that nothing there is yours.
Right.
Like, not even the towels, not even the pillow, not even the bed sheet, right? Which was one of the reasons why having a stuffed animal or something like that was really, really important, because that was one thing in the house that was mine. So yeah, when you don't have it like this, and then you start to, for me, when I was younger, my relationship with money was that I was pretty tight.
Mhm.
Like, I can't even say I was frugal. I was tight. I could squeeze that nickel so tight I could make the beaver poop. So I can really, really. And it took me a long, 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 long time to figure out. I think I was somewhere in my 30s where I would always show up late for everything, because I'd be sitting there and it's like, okay, I'm a little late. I could take a taxi, but I'm supposed to take the bus. And I just can't justify that $25 for the taxi. That's too much money. It's too much of a luxury. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm going to take the reputational hit of being late 15 minutes.
I
Because
understand that.
I can't bring myself to spend that $25. It's frivolous, right? No, it's not frivolous. It's going to help you get to a meeting on time and not waste 7 other people's time.
Which is valuable.
But you're not thinking about that, because your every single cent that you get, it's like, I may lose this one day, and you're saving, and you're and you're not spending because something important might happen one day, and you might need it. So yeah, I had to learn to become more relaxed with it, and then, of course, what to do with it to make sure that I won't run out. My number one biggest fear is not knowing where my next meal's coming from and if I'll have a roof over my head. So there's a lot of things I didn't do in my 20s and 30s, a lot of things I didn't spend on, because I made sure that I wanted to, for me, my mental security, I wanted to have this big cushion. If my bank account goes under a certain amount, I start to panic. And the amount that I start to panic is still an amount that would allow me to, when I was younger, would have allowed me to pay my rent for the next 6 months and eat every day for the next 6 months. It was like, oh my God, I don't have enough. I've dipped under. So but that's what I mean. People's relationship with money is very weird. Right. So,
Yeah.
to have a healthy relationship with money, to realize, it's, you know what? Things are a little busy. I will pay someone to come and clean the house this week, because that's what money's for, is to help you, if you have more of it, to help you buy some convenience, to help you buy time. It's like, is my time more valuable cleaning my house, or actually having somebody pay it, and I'll spend that time with my kids? Right. So
I like
what are you?
I like what
always
Rhiannon
buying
has to say here. Money is a fictional concept used to control the population. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Because literally, we are the only species that pays money to exist on this planet. Right. But versus the effective. Well, why don't we just all contribute to one another, and we'll all help each other out? Because that's that big C word that Theo Fleury likes to throw around all the time, which he clearly doesn't understand. Communism. Communism is when everybody in the community, the commune, contributes to help each other out. And I'm not saying let's go. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying the day will come where money will be useless and pointless because you can't eat it.
Yep. So it was that saying is like, only when they've dried up the last river and pulled out the last tree will they realize they can't eat money. Yeah, like this comment from Sarika here. When I was a single mom, that's exactly what my life felt like on a daily basis. I was always in panic mode and would have anxiety come rent time. I'm the child of a single mother. So that's
You get it.
maybe where I get it.
It was like Erin Brooke. Erin Brooke, who is somebody I follow on Twitter. If you don't know who she is, seek her out. She's a brilliant young woman who was originally from Ottawa, lives in Toronto. She's a musician, and she does advocacy work. And she sort of she went viral on Twitter a few years back when she said, I've discovered that I'm no longer living in poverty when I was getting groceries and I filled up my cart and I wasn't adding up every single thing that went into the cart so that when I got to the cash, I would know if I had enough. She says, I realized I'm no longer broke. Or I'm no longer poor.
Right.
I'm no longer poor. She says, I'm not rich, I'm not middle class, but I'm no longer poor because I don't have to add up every single thing that I put in the cart. In doing the math in my head, so when I get there, I know I can cover it. She says, I just put the food in the cart that I needed, and when I got there, I realized, oh my goodness, I didn't have to think about that.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean you won't be broke from time to time. I mean, you know, I do groceries. I don't have to think about it either.
Yeah.
Until it gets a few days before payday, and then it's like, oh, I got to think about it. But
Yep.
that's being broke. And the difference between broke and poor is, you know, you're not always adding up everything you have to spend money on to keep existing in life. And that's the difference. I'm not poor, but broke. Broke is something that I frequently am. Well, every time I turn around, I got to buy a new piece of gear, right? So it's just how it is. You build a business, that's what it takes. You got to spend money.
Yeah. Every time I'm broke, it has nothing to do with money. it's either something my lower back. They'll get your mind out the gutter. It's either something about my lower back and I'm laying on the floor, or I'm just too damn pooped to pop. You want to do something? Hey, let's make some food. Okay. Want to make a salad? That means I have to cut stuff. That's exhausting. Let's order something.
Well, I don't necessarily disagree with what Elaine is saying here, but you know, I've been poor. And it wasn't my attitude. It was that I didn't have enough money to pay my rent or put groceries in my cart. I've been there, and you know, I remember the lowest point in my life was when I had to go apply for welfare. And here's the thing. The welfare system it really punches down. The application process to ask for money from the state. I have secret clearance. I've done top secret clearance. I don't know if I have top anymore or not. Anyway, they ask less questions. Less probing questions to get top secret clearance than the questions I had when I had to fill out a form to see if I could get welfare. And as it turned out, I got a job. I didn't need the money. You know, a couple people helped me out, and I've been forever grateful, and I will always pay it forward because of that. But I also discovered that the money that I got wouldn't have covered my rent. So what's the point?
Yeah.
But it was the probing questions. Dude, I've borrowed tens of thousands of dollars for a business that asked less questions.
Yep.
The bank, when I had my business years ago, they just called me up and said, yeah, we just gave you a $20,000 line of credit. What? Yep. I didn't even apply for it. They just gave it to me.
Yep. Well, same thing with me. Last credit card I applied for just a $500 one, just because I lost my credit card about a year and a half ago, right? I got pickpocketed. So, and I didn't have one. So I just decided to have a second one, an emergency one. Sometimes you forget your wallet. So I have one in another place. So there's almost nothing on it. And I asked just for 500.
Just as emergency
Just an emergency. It's like, oh, I went out. Darn, went to do groceries, forgot my credit card. Oh, well, I have this other one stored here, right? I left my, I was paying something on the computer and I left my wallet on the desk here. Well, I got this. I'm not stuck. I don't have to run to an ATM and leave everything at the cash. You know?
Yes.
Hold on, I'll be back. And all that kind of stuff. Well, the other day I hadn't put anything on it like for about 3-4 months. And then I put like $200 on it because I didn't have my wallet one day. And then I just like go back home and I go to pay it and I look at my credit limit. My credit limit is $8,000. They raised it $7,500 over the past 6 months without even telling me.
Here you go. Here's a whole bunch of credit. I'm like, I
don't want or need it. Why are you putting this at my disposal? Now
this is how upside down the system is, though, right?
But I have discipline, right? Again, so I mean, for me, it's okay. It's like I think my entire life I've carried a balance on my credit card twice. Once because I happened to forget to pay it. I happened to forget to pay it. And the second time was when I was in university and I bought a computer. So I wasn't making enough money, so I had to carry balance for a bit. I
did have mine paid off. I had mine paid off with no balance, and then I got I was left unemployed, and so I had to use that. I was out of work for a year, and doing what you can to make ends meet. Right. And EI didn't pay enough. Yeah. Like literally, without it, I would have been in dire straits, but it wasn't enough money to keep a roof over my head. So I had to dip in and dip in. I had to borrow from my RSPs. I had to go into the savings account. And, eventually that gets depleted after a year. You don't have much. So you got to restart. So I start restarting and start getting paid things out. And then what happens? A global pandemic.
Yeah.
Stay home. You don't get to go to work for 2 months. Oh, great. And then work for 6 months at reduced salary with no vehicle allowance. And I know I'm complaining with a full mouth. I am. But all those people who were whining in my neighborhood, screaming freedom, going, you know how much I lost? I'm like, we all did, you selfish prick.
Yeah.
I will never recover the money I lost in that time. Never.
I had my next 4 acting shows lined up when COVID hit, some of them paying jobs. Those places
all gone.
Come back.
So guess what? We all lost. There's not a single person who didn't lose something.
Yeah.
So the difference between you and I is, I don't mean you, sir. I mean myself and the people who occupied my neighborhood was, I didn't whine and cry in the streets and complain and ask to overthrow the government and shit on somebody's doorstep and scream freedom and blow horns and light fireworks. And because I'm an adult, and adults just go, well, sometimes that's just how it goes. So let's just pull up our socks, put on our shoes, go back to work.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Well, the system wants to keep you down. Oh, you're just realizing that now?
Yeah.
Welcome to reality. The system's designed to keep you down. Don't you know that? Some people are lucky enough to get ahead. Most of us aren't. There's a reason why it's the 1%. They want the rest of us to make sure they stay rich. And that's not a conspiracy theory. It's largely easy to prove when you look at how much productivity has increased over the last 50 years versus income. Income has remained flat, and in some cases has actually dropped, while productivity has been on a steady upswing. And I had a graphic. I showed it on this program a couple of weeks back. Keep us down, well, they prop themselves up. Not conspiracy. It's a fact. Am I angry about it? Yeah, it doesn't consume me. It's not the be-all, end-all. I mean, my God, I still have a job that I love. I have people in my life that love me and I love them, like you. I love you. You know that. And I have this gig that I love. I mean, it's a labor of love because there's no money. But
it's all labor.
It's all labor. It's all labor, and I love it. But there's still wonderful things in this life to be grateful for. And the gentleman I spoke with last night was saying, gratitude. You got to have gratitude. Have an attitude of gratitude. And being grateful for what you have, even sometimes if it's very, very little, will improve your life tenfold. Every day above ground is a good day. Even if it's a rough day, even if it's a painful day. Elaine can attest to this. Elaine's gone through, rough couple of months, but every day above ground's a good day.
Yes.
Please correct me if I'm wrong.
No, it is a good day. It's a good. I mean, it sounds a little Pollyannish. It's like Aunt Shirley. Every new day is bright and fresh with no mistakes in it. But
yeah, you can put a polish on it if you. What's going on with my mustache? It's out of whack. So should I tilt my head and just go at an angle for the rest of the show?
But yeah, but you're right. It's what you do. It's like, when things get bad, you can do what the people that came to Ottawa and occupied the city do, or you can, like you say, as the song goes, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start all over again. Right? I mean, that's what
most of us did. Yeah. That's what most of us did.
Adapt.
Millions of us did that.
Yeah.
Hey, we were all in it together.
Yeah, we just weren't
all in it together.
We were all in the same ocean, just not all in the same boat.
That's right.
Some of us
all
were
in the same storm.
Some of us were on a door left from the Titanic, floating on the river, and some of us were in luxury yachts. But we were all in the same ocean.
We were all in the same ocean in the same storm.
Man. All right. I have a gentle correction to impose upon myself.
Oh, okay. I thought it was for me because I'm the one who makes a lot of mistakes. So I figured it would have been me.
No, this one is for me. A couple of days ago when we were talking about the budget, and I was mentioning a 1.5, 1.6. I thought I was talking about that as debt to GDP ratio.
Mhm.
debt to GDP ratio was the second set of numbers I gave, around like 44% and that type of stuff, and had gone up a little bit and will go down. What I was talking about that time was debt servicing to GDP ratio. It's how much it costs to service the debt versus your GDP. And this is the one where we're settling in around 1.5, 1.6%, according to Kevin Milligan, who's like a great economist. I like to follow him a lot, him and Trevor Toom.
Yeah.
Big fans of their work. But in Great Britain and the United States, the cost to service their debt's about 5.5 and 5.4% of their GDP. So
Wow.
when you have this debt servicing, so yes, so our debt to GDP is much higher. It's in the 40% or close to 40, 30 or something like that, 39. But this is to service the debt. So we have, again, if you're looking at this graph, at the bottom, and it's just started to go up a little bit here at the end. And where it's projected to be, you see that little red line by 2026. So I mean, we're doing well. We're doing really, really, really well. And again, if we were
We
all
are.
in the same ocean, so we're all affected by the war, we're all affected by climate change, we're all affected by migration resulting from drought, resulting from climate change, drought and desertification. We're all suffering from supply chain backlogs due to the pandemic. And with all of that,
My line of work, especially.
we've all had to borrow. There's very few countries, if they had the ability to it, that did not go into more debt to take care of their
Norway.
people. Yeah. So, with all of that and this reckless inflationary spending by Trudeau, that's apparently sending us all into the poorhouse. What it costs us to service our debt is 1.5 to 1.6% of GDP. After
So you just
all we've been through.
yeah,
After
we're
all
doing
we've been
good. We're doing good. We're doing good. Your PP imitation there reminded me of something about how he was railing on last night about the Trudeau government is going to ram through C11, and they just did it. They just forced it through. I'm like, well, they're a minority government, so they can't really ram through anything to begin with.
Right.
And I think millions of people have been confused by what Bill C11 is. And it's corrupted a lot of people because they've been told what certain parties want them to understand about it, which is it's gonna take away your right to earn a living on YouTube. No, it's not. It's going to censor what you have to say. No, it's not. It's just going to enforce our charter rules, which currently exist. Things like hate speech, not allowed in this country, punishable in this country. Mis and disinformation, which we all know is detrimental to all of society, part of the Bill C11 to prevent that from lies. Part of that is meant to hammer down those who will hammer on others, prevent cyberbullying. If you counsel someone to commit permanent physical harm, I'm not saying the word, you know what the word is, you will be punished. They're bringing in new laws because the laws need to catch up with the current times that we live in when it comes to the technology that we use. And like I said, a lot of people have been corrupted by certain parties who seem to think that this is how you defeat a government, by lying to the public en masse. And I've perused, I haven't read through all of Bill C11, although there is a link online where you can read through it. And I'm like, there's nothing in the wording there that I find at all threatening to what we do. And as everybody knows, this is, I do like 2 music shows, this, and occasionally I appear on other shows, and none of that is in jeopardy. None of it is in jeopardy. So when I see people coming in and saying, we need to defeat this bill, it's like, I don't think you've actually read what's in the bill. And I'm upset to see some good people get corrupted by that.
Now, here's the thing with the bill. This is not my domain of expertise by any stretch. And that's why I keep on saying that my take on this is watch what Quebec is doing. Watch what the Bloc Québécois is saying. Watch what the NDP are saying. If they're not screaming bloody murder,
Yeah,
it's probably okay. But then
that's
you
a
have
good
people like Michael
hallmark.
Geist. But you have people like Michael
Mhm.
Geist, who's very,
Somebody
very
who I
well
respect.
known,
Yeah.
and somebody who knows, who's been interviewed by Dean many times and says, like, this is the beginning of the end of the world. I don't know who to believe
Yeah,
in this one. And I'm not informed enough to be able to separate the wheat from the chaff.
I'm there with you on that. I have perused the bill. I think that the sky is falling mentality is the wrong way to go about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Michael Geist has probably got a better handle on it than I will. He's much smarter than I am. But I believe that the sky is falling, dogs and cats living together, the walls are bleeding. That sort of scare tactic that a certain political party is using, I think, is incorrect. How will this fully affect us? I don't entirely know. I know that what we do is not in jeopardy.
Yep. I would suspect it's not as well, only for to me, it's a bit like the IRS story in the United States, where they've hired 87,000 more people and they've said, oh, they're coming to get you. But we really found out is that because the department had been cut so much over the previous years that the only thing that they could afford to do was audit very poor people who can't fight, who can
Yes.
only do it online, or right. So
Can't afford a lawyer to fight back,
there are 39 million people in Canada plus, closing in on 40 million. X number of us are content producers. Do you really think that we're going to be able to hire enough people to monitor all the production, to be able to go out in your life and censor you? That would require a level of bureaucracy. That's what I'm saying. I'm looking at if I'm gaming this out, I don't see how it's particularly possible. But again, right? It's legalese, it's fine print, it's all those other things. But yeah, I don't. From my understanding was that trying to make sure that media get some compensation for their content that is on online platforms, making sure that there's contributions to the various CanCon funds, making sure that our legislation is there, making sure we can tax the streaming services from other nations like we do the ones that originate in Canada, just to eliminate the unfair advantage. Those were the main things. I'm not sure. I don't know. It just seems to me that if we were actually regulating content, that we would hear about it from the usual suspects in the country whenever we have anything that has to do with culture and representation.
Yeah, so it makes me call into question all of these the sky is falling sort of
And we do
monologues.
know that. And we do know that on the other side, that on the pro-internet side, this has always been not very regulated, and we want it to remain. That's the thing. We want it to remain the Wild West in that sense. So there is a vested interest. There is an argument that's self-serving on the other side against any regulation whatsoever. And like I said, there's only one of me, and there's only so many topics I can be interested in.
Well, and there's
and this one, to be totally honest, I have very little interest in.
Equally so. You got to remember too,
To be honest.
and this is what's important. We live in a democracy. So if this bill comes through and it starts to affect enough people, what do? Well, you write your MLA, your MPP, and your MP, and you say, we need to amend this law, and here's where we need. And that's how it gets done.
Yep.
Do you really think the federal government wants to eliminate revenue? Tax revenue. People who earn millions of dollars online, and there are a lot of them, eliminate the tax revenue that they generate because they want to. That doesn't make any sense.
Yep. Yep. I see it. So yeah, it's as I say, kids, I have to plead ignorance and wait to see how it pans out. It's the type of thing that I listen to stories of, and I listen to comment from better minds than mine. But I have not been, after hearing everything on both sides, I've not been able to get a sense of whether or not this is something we need to be afraid of, or, as all things, vigilance and caution, of course. But yeah, I don't. Again, it just seems to me that if I heard the Parti Québécois in Quebec really losing their minds over this, or the CAQ, um, then you'd have my attention. And at the moment I don't. So, yeah. And you know what? We all use shortcuts, right? This is a thing, right? Know
Mhm.
everything. So it's like I can't know everything, but I know this person knows, so I'm going to rely on that person, what that person says. Right? I know enough to know that this person knows what they're talking about. That's a shortcut because that person could be wrong on any given day. Right. So
Yes.
we all take shortcuts in life. We all take these mental shortcuts to get through. There's so many things to know. There's so many things to worry about. I'm worried about the state of my democracy. I'm worried about, one of our national parties seeming to be perfectly content with to dispense with democracy. Meeting with people who are, closet. Well, not so much closet, but proud to be closet Nazis, I guess.
Mhm. Yeah.
um, these are the things I'm worried about. I'm worried about whether or not kids can go to school and not get targeted because they're different. I'm worried about people being able to read what they want to read, and I'm worried
Agreed.
about these are things I'm more concerned about. So how the government is going to regulate the internet for yeah. Again, I figure if I have an issue, like you say, we'll have time to address it later. And legislation is like that as well. I mean, there's very rarely are you going to get a piece of legislation that's going to be perfectly right the first time. You're going to get it, and then you're going to make some adjustments. And sometimes it's not even the law. Sometimes it's just the regulations under the law that need to be
Mhm.
adjusted and that type of stuff. So it's let's give this time to play out, because there's a lot of people with a lot of vested interests. I think I would even assume that the internet service providers and those companies, if content was going to be regulated to a point where people would say, screw it, why make content?
Mhm.
Wouldn't be happy either. And we'd be hearing from them on this bill in that capacity. So, yeah, wait. The thing is, in politics, right, we often think that somebody's puts the mic in your face, so you have to respond.
It's not the
Wait
case.
and see is I understand there's a lot of things panicking right now. So yeah, but there's a process in place at the moment. I trust the process. I'm going to wait to see how it pans out, and if we need to make adjustments, we will. Is a perfectly good answer.
Do we?
And people don't use it often enough.
Should we address? I'm trying to get the temperature of the room here right now because I'm in a really. You ever wake up and you just feel a sense of blissful, chill, relaxation over your body, your mind, that's where I am right now on 3 hours sleep, which is weird because I should be cranky and tired, and I am tired, but I'm blissfully tired.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very happy right now. I'm very, very happy right now, which is a
Does it mean
wonderful
Friday
place to
have
be.
something to do with it?
Friday, I had such a wonderful time last night. Got to meet some new people, which is always a joy. Checked out a new venue, got out of the house. It was a combination of things. So I'm feeling that blissful sort of warmth. Anybody, maybe this. I'm gonna pose a question here, and then I'll go with where I'm going. Does anybody in this group of people do yoga? And if you do, every time I did like a 2-hour class, the next day around this time, I felt exactly what I'm feeling, like this sense of warmth, like a comfortable blanket and a cup of hot whatever beverage, just joyful, blissful happiness. I always felt that like the next morning after a heavy yoga class. That's how I'm feeling right now. So I'm trying to get a relational thing in there. That's where I'm feeling right now. So what I'm trying to ask you is, because I'm feeling so happy and so good, and it's Friday, and I know you're in a blissful, happy, joy-filled mood, do we want to address PP and his response en français to will he eliminate the dental program?
Yes, please.
And the smugness in which he responded to that reporter.
Yes, let's do that. I'm you know what? I'm actually in a good mood that I can tolerate that quite well.
Okay. So I've got the link right here, and I'm going to play it. It's from CPAC, so there's absolutely no danger of us getting into any sort of trouble for this. Because sometimes you play something, they're like, that's a copyrighted content. This is CPAC. This is owned by every Canadian.
Right.
So for those of you who haven't seen this, let's just bring it up on the screen. I want you to pay attention to his body language and his tone and the way he speaks down to the female reporter.
Oh, of course, female.
Sur l'assurance dentaire, si vous êtes élu prochainement, est-ce que vous la conserveriez?
Whoops. Hang on. Sorry, I screwed up. I'll start it over.
We need the volume too.
Yeah, I'll start over. Hang on a sec here. Do this. There we go. And I'll open up the volume a little bit more, as much as I can, because it's limited with what's in the clip. But here we go.
Sur l'assurance dentaire, si vous êtes élu prochainement, est-ce que vous la conserveriez?
Mais ça n'existe pas.
Non, mais il va y avoir un régime.
Non,
Est-ce que
non,
vous
non, non, non,
laisseriez en place?
attends. Vous dites qu'il va y avoir un programme. On ne sait pas. C'est une autre promesse
Il y a
libérale.
quand même une possibilité que les soins dentaires, ça devienne une mesure qui entre en vigueur. Alors vous, lorsque vous allez être premier ministre, si vous êtes premier ministre, vous la gardez ou vous la gardez pas, oui ou non?
Il n'y a pas de programme. Garde quoi? Ça n'existe pas.
Mais vous l'avez avec le
Vous voulez? Non, vous voulez.
His dismissive speaking down, like, it's not little lady. You know how I say it all the time. I really want to smack his smug face. After that, dude, my blood was boiling. Boiling.
Yep,
Absolutely.
I hear you. Now, here's the thing with that one for me is that he's laughably maintaining that he would only be able to say whether he'd rip up the plan once the program was already fully implemented and running for enough time for him to decide if it needed to be. How convenient.
Yeah.
It's also bullshit. It's also bullshit. There is a plan. He's saying, and remember, this is a political party that ran in an election promoting a program that had not yet been voted on Parliament.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That job skills program funding hadn't even been voted on, and they were promoted it as a done deal. He was part of the government who did that. This plan has been voted on.
Yes, it has.
The first phase of the plan, which is a temporary measure while they're actually building the full program, is in place. We've just announced the second phase of the 3-phase plan that is about to start. By the end of this year, I believe, those two things will then be canceled and rolled into the actual program where the third phase will happen and everybody under $90,000 will be able to qualify. One's under $90,000. So there
households under 90,000.
Households under 90,000, yes. So there is a plan. He says the plan, there is no plan. There is a plan. The program, full official, because if we're being super pedantic, the program doesn't exist because right now we have a temporary measure that will be rolled in to create a program. But there is a plan. And the plan's already started. And the whole premise of his answer is that the plan does not exist. There is no plan. So this is yet of another thing. That's right up there with his treatment for addicts thing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to launch a series of lawsuits that will probably take 15 years to get through the court system. That's the part I'm not saying. I'm going to fight people that have like tons of the only group out of all the groups that are probably lawyered up as much as the government, the pharmaceutical companies. And once we get that money, 15 years from now, when I'm no longer in government and maybe even possibly in jail, then we'll build all these treatment. This is right up there again. It's like, well, the dental plan, well, the
Dental
full program
plan.
doesn't already exist yet. I mean, I can't tell you whether or not I would take it apart. But well, but you said you were going to take away the childcare program before it was implemented everywhere. So why are you gun shy now? Why be so timid now, Skippy? I'm. Are you in awe of the leadership yet?
Apparently.
I can't say no. Wait. No. Don't ask me for an answer. No. But I'm a leader. I'm your next prime minister. Send me money.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Pull the other leg and it plays Jingle Bells.
This guy. I swear, man. Is like. Go ahead.
Well, he's a cartoon character. I mean,
and he's on infant formula as well now. He's been talking about that too. He's gone back to that well. So you got Dale Smith. I love this so much. If you put it up there, Mr. Grizzly. So is the conservative position that the federal government should create a nationalized infant formula producer? I like Catherine on the bottom too. How it goes. 1, problem Canadians encounter is identified. 2, opposition demands feds under Liberals fix it. 3, real people that can fix it are private business or municipal or provincial governments. 4, or feds changing existing structure requiring unanimous cooperation by some of the people listed above. So, yes. So apparently now we're going to nationalize the airports. We have to nationalize the Bank of Canada. We have to nationalize infant formula producer. And it just made me think of his slogans. Remove the gatekeepers. Make more power for formula. Bring home the baby paychecks. Like my slogan. Sign my petition. Send me money. You're laughing because it's true. Ah, man. Bring home those powerful baby paychecks.
what is a powerful paycheck, by the way?
I think it's sort of like Pac-Man. If you crumple it up like this and then eat it, it becomes like a power pellet. And then all of a sudden, you could move faster through the world.
Oh, okay. And he's going to bring it home. He's going to bring it home, though. He's going to bring home powerful paychecks.
Yeah. And that's the other thing, too.
That doesn't even make sense.
Is he auditioning for Les Miserables? Bring it home. Bring it home. Bring it home.
Bring it home.
What are we bringing home? And do we want to catch it? Is there a cream for it?
Yes, it's only $250 a tube, though. So
yes, but it's what is it with these things like Aaron O'Toole? Are you with me? It's like, let's bring home this. Let's bring home powerful paychecks. Let's bring home. It's like, where do they get these?
I honestly don't know.
We're going to make life better. Are you with me? Well, I'm with anyone who wants to make life better.
Yeah, who would be against that?
Tell me how.
Share with me.
Building more homes for people to live in. Okay, sure, I'm down with that. Tell me how. Got to remove the gatekeepers. Okay. Tell me how. And then how does it work once we remove the gatekeepers? I'm just, tell me how. I'm not, I don't think I'm being too demanding. Am I? Or unreasonable?
No, not at all.
So it's just like, okay, I understand removing the gatekeeper part, but then what happens when no one's manning the gate? I mean, he's literally at airports where there are gates, literal gates, saying to remove gatekeepers.
Well, he's going to nationalize.
I mean, if there's one place you're going to have a gatekeepers at the damn airport.
Remove the gatekeepers. Why can't Trudeau get groceries into people's carts? Why can't he get food on the shelves? Why can't Justin Trudeau hurry up the lineup at the airport? So your suggestion is to nationalize everything, completely destroying the free market. Wouldn't that be communism?
Wouldn't that be dumb? Before we even get to communism, wouldn't that just be dumb?
Well, of course, but the thing is, it's like all of his supporters scream about Trudeau, the communist dictator, which those are completely diametrically opposed. He's a fascist communist dictator. Three things that can't exist in the same time and space. And yet then they have this guy who is literally spouting things from the Communist Manifesto. The government has to make sure you can get affordable groceries in your cart and that the stores of the shelves are full of groceries and the lineups at the airport are... I'm like, you are literally preaching communism. Literally. The government takes over everything. It's all owned by the state and everybody has enough. That's what communism is. They don't understand. If they don't like it, they'll call it communism. And then they'll turn around and accuse me of saying, well, everybody you hate is a Nazi. No, Nazis are Nazis.
Yeah.
That's it. Just because I don't like a person doesn't mean I'm going to refer to them as a Nazi.
Yeah.
Christine Anderson, Nazi, proud of it.
Yeah. I dislike all Nazis, but not everyone I dislike happens to be a Nazi. I can dislike people for a whole lot less than being a Nazi.
It isn't difficult.
That's not the bar you need to reach for me to start disliking you. Trust me, it kicks in way before that.
Well, this is a conversation I had last night. Somebody was remarking about how during the occupation, well, it wasn't as bad as World War I. That's the bar? Really? That's the bar. Oh, okay, I see. No problem. Yes. Somebody had it worse than you, so you should be thankful. But I am thankful.
It just reminds me that those images that we're seeing on that meme there that we're seeing those people dining in Paris. It's like, and there's like this fire going on. There's like, yeah, everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
This one here, Mr. Grizzly.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Yeah, this is it. That's it. Bienvenue en France.
Yeah, there's this little couple there that's opening the chair, just going to sit down. These other two, they're just talking like nothing's going on.
Totally nonplussed.
Yep. We saw that one the other day. There was another clip like that. I think it was someone at a Starbucks who had unfortunately gotten stabbed.
That was outside of Vancouver, and nobody did anything.
Yeah, and you see somebody sitting in the corner, there's this guy bleeding out on the ground. It's like, no.
Yeah, this is the world we're living in right now.
Right? Just that's the thing that makes me wonder every now and then. It's like, again, I'm hardwired for optimism, and I like to believe in the best in our fellow humans. And then every now and then I can see, okay, so you're just going to keep on having that latte while somebody bleeds out 10 feet away from you. Okay, maybe we are screwed. You know what? Some days, maybe I place too much faith in the human race. Yeah, man. We have a couple of other little tidbits here and there, so run through. But it seems that there was another break-in attempt at the residence of a senior official from the Prime Minister's team. Last December, there was an unsuccessful attempt to break into the home of Katie Telford.
Oh, really?
And it seems that yesterday, I only found out about that yesterday as well, but it seems that a few days ago, there was a successful attempt to break into the home of National Security Advisor Jody Thomas. And a number of personal documents and items were stolen. Conveniently, the China story seems to have died down all of a sudden with the threat of the lawsuit. And then there's a break-in at the National Security Advisor's home where personal documents and items were stolen. I'm just going to leave that up there. because I do not have any additional information. But that happened. Interesting to note. Let's wait to see if there's new developments on China coming up soon.
Yeah, they let that one slip away from the headlines really quick, didn't they?
Yep. Also, I think yesterday or the day before, the Roman Catholic Church officially repudiated the doctrine of discovery, which is a really big deal. And for this institution, that is major. And it was something that was requested by the Indigenous community in Canada, and they had hoped that that would be done when the Pope came here last July to deliver his papal apology for the role of the church with residential schools. However, even though this is a big deal, the Roman Catholic Church appeared to pull the same trick they did when they apologized for residential schools, blaming the quote-unquote, well, not quote-unquote, but blaming the terrible people who did those things in the name of the church, but not necessarily saying that the church wanted this outcome or directed or advised or had any role itself in playing. That. Again, I know people take the steps that they can take at certain times and what, and when the Pope is limited to how far he can go by pressures on the inside as well. But it was the church.
Yeah, it was the church.
It's the church.
I have a new clip for you, sir. So
Yes.
since I just played a clip a few minutes ago that it made my blood boil over PP being a smug, obnoxious, arrogant little prick, call a spade a spade. I've got one that will do the exact same thing for PP's supporters for the Prime Minister. Yeah,
Okay.
we gotta have a yin yang. We show
Yep.
we show that, we're going to show this. So hold on to your hats, kids, because this is pretty heavy duty. This is some heavy duty stuff. It's quite shocking, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, just check it out.
Sea over now, I'm as happy a man as the sea will now. There's no other life for a sailor like me but to sail the salt sea, boys, sail the sea. There's no other life but to sail the salt sea.
And better than Bohemian Rhapsody. He was on key.
Well, yeah. That's just up the street from me, by the way. That's I worked on that project. Here, let me just put up a still from it. You can see there's the interior. It used to be a bank. It was built in the 30s, and I worked on that project too. Completely redone this beautiful building built in 1930. It was originally a Bank of Montreal, if memory serves. Anyway, now it's a multi-purpose venue that serves all kinds of stuff. I'm trying to remember the name of the restaurant that's gone in there. I want to say Riviera. I think it's Riviera. But it's used for a lot of things. Anyway, yeah, I thought, if we showed PP at his worst, we should probably show our Prime Minister having a good time at his best with the Prime, with that good fella from Newfoundland there, that good lad there, Alan Doyle. It's a good guy.
Alan Doyle.
One of the good guys.
Yes.
This, yeah. The Pope's fashion.
Have you seen this? Have you seen this picture?
Yes, I have.
Okay, it's Pope Francis wearing a
Michelin Man.
as a Michelin Man, a very, very stylish, puffy jacket. Well, turns out it's a deep fake.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Huh.
It is a deep fake. Because here we are, the Pope, doing rapper poses in the puffy jacket. So it was a deep fake. It's like, nope, but I did fall for puffy jacket Pope. A lot of people fell for it.
So he wasn't in a puffy jacket at all?
At all. This is all AI.
Wow.
All AI.
That's a little scary.
That's where we are at. Yeah, exactly. In 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine how much better it's going to get. Like I said, we might very soon end up in a world where we don't know what's real and what's not, and we don't know who to go ask to find out what's real or not, especially with everybody making it a hobby to gleefully say you can't trust anybody. You can't trust legacy media. You can't trust the independent media. You can't trust this media. You can't trust your eyes. You can't. Who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? And all these types of things, and all that stuff is already getting better. So it's and as we mentioned on the show before, Michelle Rempel Garner appears to have made this her one of her personal issues, and she speaks about it actually quite intelligently and eloquently. There's been an interview with her on Peter Mansbridge's The Bridge a couple of weeks ago. I would highly recommend that people listen to it, even if you are not a big fan of Michelle Rempel Garner herself on this particular topic. She knows what time it is.
She's not a stupid person.
She's not a stupid person.
Oftentimes I absolutely despise her politics, and sometimes we're in lockstep with one another. That's how it is with every politician. Now, that being said, I find I'm not in lockstep with her very often on many things, but I have to respect her intelligence and the amount of effort and work she puts into reading about a subject. She wrote an article about the World Economic Forum, the WF, a few years ago when she attended it. And she's like, the sky is not falling, the world is not on fire, settle down. But Skippy, who believes in freedom, 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 would not allow any of his MPs to go to the World Economic Forum if he was prime minister. Wait a minute. Where's the freedom in that?
Freedom to live as I tell you to.
I have some other news for you. I just hot off the wire.
Okay, if you want to, yeah.
Yeah, it's real quick. You'll like this.
No worries.
For the first time ever, the Vanier Cup is coming to Kingston, Ontario, and the city will have the chance to show off its hosting skills as it hosts back-to-back championships games. So there, K-Town going to host the Vanier Cup. I might have to come down for that because I'm a big fan of the Vanier Cup. It's the championship for the Canadian inter. Well, they've changed it. It's not CIAU anymore. It's something else now. I can't remember.
Yes, I don't remember what it's called now.
Yeah. Anyway, here, I'll put the link to that in the chat. There we go. Boom. And I'm going to open it up on my own so I can have it here to read later. Is it time to hit the pause button on AI?
Yep. So this is an article that Michelle Rempel wrote for her Substack, but it is connected with the Bridge with Peter Mansbridge episode, and I will try to find that as well for you and give it to you, Mr. Grizzly, so that you can post it while we're chatting some more. Other things going on in the news, if you're worried about Silicon Valley Bank and the state of the banking system, it seems that there has been a plan for it to be purchased. First Citizens Bank in the United States has, it's a Raleigh, North Carolina-based bank, has entered into a purchase and assumption agreement for all the deposits and loans at Silicon Valley Bank, which are estimated at $72 billion. They will be getting it for $16.5.
I would have thought it would have been like $1.
It does seem that things have been stabilizing as well, based on what the stock markets have been doing this week, and the U.S. banks in particular. So things seem to have been stabilized as well. So we might not get that contagion, although we still don't know what's on the balance sheets of all the regional banks yet. So there still could be some surprises. But for now, it seems that the measures that have been taken appear to have contained the issue. Just wanted to let you know that I have heard from our guest today that was supposed to be here, apologized, said had to jump straight into dad work.
Hey,
So,
that's cool.
That's life. He's committed to coming on Monday, so we will have him then.
Good.
Yep. So we were just chatting here, and yep. So there you go. We'll take care of that. So sorry, apologies for that, kids. But our interview with the president and CEO of Main Street Research Company, where we'll talk about polling and some stuff having to do with attempted political influence by the People's Republic of China, because he has some thoughts on that too. That will be on Monday. But it doesn't matter, because we're here together and we're having a great time. So
Hell
yes.
yeah, we are.
Yeah, hell yeah, we are. So that's the thing with Silicon Valley Bank. That is very important, so that just if you've been panicking or just monitoring your investments a little more closely lately, you can breathe a bit.
Oh, I got something hot off the wire.
Okay, please, let's do it.
Wow, I did not see this coming. Hang on, let's see if I can. I don't know if I can blow it up at all. I'm gonna. Oh wait, I know what I can do. Just a sec. See if I can blow this. This is a surprise. Possibly should have suspected it to a certain degree, but nevertheless, here we are. Hot off the wire, Aaron O'Toole announces he will not seek re-election. He's stepping down. Yeah. Bowmanville, Ontario today, the Honourable Aaron O'Toole, Member of Parliament for Durham, announced that he will not seek re-election and will resign his seat at the end of the spring session. He announced the news in Durham during a speech to the Clarington Board of Trade.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, that's big news.
That is okay. So wait a minute. Wait. Okay, so we have Taze and Savage leaving and not running again in Alberta. We have Fullerton, who left in Ontario. We have Alain Reyes and Senator Jean-Guy Dagenet, who left the party soon after PP. And now we have Aaron O'Toole, who we haven't had a chance to talk about it on the show, but who had been making some media availabilities over the past few months, saying how he would handle certain things a little differently.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's lost Aaron, and Aaron is like at the end of the spring session. Like, I'm not sticking around. There's trouble. There's trouble.
Rats are leaving the sinking ship.
There's trouble. You're losing the former leader.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, he did kind of torpedo the guy.
Don't get me wrong, but there's another former leader that's in his core team.
Mm-hmm.
Scheer, the guy who just can't quit the public teat. Say, not teeth. But he's going to.
No, you take that away from you.
He's got his teeth marks into the public teeth. That's for sure. Been sucking so hard on it. So yeah. Wow. I don't know what to. Well, I mean, kind of happy.
Mm-hmm. Well, the party's imploding.
The party's.
And I think he did not admonish or kick the MPs out of caucus who sat with a Nazi. I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back for a lot of people. And I think it's going to be a trickle. I don't think it's going to be a deluge. I think it'll be a trickle over the next several coming weeks and months of people just leaving because they're trying to exit gracefully, maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, especially as he's showing that he's not able to pivot. Because it's September now, right? He was elected. He became the leader in September. We're in March now. We're starting April. So October, November, December, January, February, March. April, 7 months. He's not growing.
Yeah.
He's not growing in the job. He's just doubling down on whatever it is he brought to it. Yeah. I guess some people don't want to be part of that.
Can you blame them?
Wow. No, I can't.
Aaron O'Toole had said he needed to try and bring the party closer to the center because he felt it had swung too far right. And I agree with him. Yeah. But look what happened. Him trying to do that, he got torpedoed by the people in
but he should have been
position
authentic.
to do it.
That's his problem. Yeah, his problem is that he ran for that leadership because when we commented it while he was doing it, as Dr. Jekyll, when 3 years before, when Scheer won it and he ran against him, he was Mr. Hyde. When he went against Scheer, he was a true progressive conservative, and then 2 or 3 years later, he had changed his whole values wholesale and said, "I'm a true blue conservative." Well, it's like, well, but without mentioning one thing about his conversion to true blue conservatism wasn't authentic. And then he said he would do all these things, and then in the campaign, he tried to do that pivot to the middle thing and flip-flopped so many times and did tumbling passes worthy of Cirque du Soleil and got eaten alive by his own party. and then
Yeah.
more unceremoniously dumped than was Mulcair. That one was pretty embarrassing. So, I mean, I can understand he's going, but like again, it's just another day of media questions that are inconvenient for Skippy at a time at which, if that party had a minimum of discipline, professionalism, and organization, they would have the Liberals completely on the ropes at this time. But they'd rather win the nanosecond. Again, leading more credence to my theory that conservatives don't really care if they win or not. They just care that the money keeps on rolling and they keep on going, getting government subsidized travel and offices and staff. I guess, and if they happen to get their hands on the purse strings too, then even better. Then they just have a bigger party. But it doesn't.
Don't think you're wrong.
Like they're here just for the party.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't understand this continuing to embarrass yourself in public in this manner if you've just decided that we don't care what we look like so long as the money keeps rolling.
Well, I mean, it exposes who they really are. And I've known who they are for a long time. But now the rest of the country is starting to see it for what they are. Which, hey, continue to burn down the bridge that you're standing on.
Yep. More little interesting tidbits of news. I like this because I'm getting to put in things that I've collected over the past few weeks, but really had no time to mention. Airbnb, after that event that happened where there was a building in Old Montreal that was basically, well, we found out were having illegal rental units, was destroyed by a fire. Some people are confirmed dead, I believe 3 or 4, and 3 are still missing. Airbnb says that it will pull these types of listings from their sites, any listing that does not have a permit from the Quebec government. So it seems that in the province of Quebec, if you have an Airbnb property or that type of property, you have to actually get a permit to be able to use that as a business, which seems like a very smart idea, and I do not know why that is not national. Airbnb also says that it will give the Quebec government access to some of its data to help enforce safety measures. Please, let's take this national.
Yeah.
That should be a national standard for all these types of services.
It's not
let's get
surgery.
Let's get some permits either from the provincial governments or the municipalities so that they can make up some lost hotel revenue and tax on that, and then make sure that the people, not from the Airbnb side, but the people that are buying these properties and are operating them as rental or temporary rental units, have to meet some minimal safety standards, like, for example, having fire alarms at work and not having illegal rental units in buildings that are not supposed to have rental units at all. I'm not zoned for that.
Somebody's going to go to prison over this. I guarantee you somebody's going to go down, because the province of Quebec will not let this one go.
No.
They won't.
No. If you are a fan of soap operas, The Young and the Restless has just recently celebrated its 50th anniversary this week. And General Hospital will be turning 60 soon. It appears, I did not know this, but that there are now only 4 soap operas still running.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, there were tons of them.
Yeah, Edge and I, Another World.
Every
Young
TV
and
station would have 4 of their own.
Yeah.
And if you had the nighttime soaps, if you included like the Knots Landings and the Dallases and the Falcon Crests, but like the daytime soaps, it seems that there are only 4 daytime soaps left.
So what, General, YNR, Days of Our Lives? Is that still on? Is Days of Our Lives still on?
I don't know.
Another World, is that still on?
No, Another World isn't on. Another World was my mom's favorite. And
that was my mom's too.
Canceled. And then it had
Rachel.
spun off. Yeah, Rachel McCory. Yes, and Max.
You can go in Another World. That's all you ever hear. You can't stay home and enjoy a bottle of beer. Between Rachel and the jackpot, I'm slowly going mad. I've seen people before possessed, but girl, you got it bad. That was Rex Hemian in Newfoundland back in the 70s. Speaking of Newfoundland, my friend, it is the 74th anniversary since Newfoundland became Canada's 10th province. 74 years young. You're one sexy 74-year-old Newfoundland, I will tell you what. Well, 74. Come on, let's be honest. She's a lot older than that. Just been a member of the Confederation since 1949. So happy birthday.
She had some work done. It's looking good, though. Looking good. Mm. All right. I don't know if it's still going on, but earlier this week, there was a transit strike in the Fraser Valley in British Columbia. There's about 200 drivers who say that they are underpaid because in the province of British Columbia, basically for anything that's not in the greater Vancouver area, there's a company that is basically hired to provide that service, and it's called First Transit. But it seems that they are not providing pensions or pay that is equivalent to transit groups in the same region area, and some drivers are being paid up to 32% less. First Transit says that it's offered 16%, but that's still only half of how much less they've been paying people for a while. So we don't know how that's going to resolve at the moment. And BC Transit says that they're only monitoring negotiations at the moment, not participating. But that's leaving about 350,000 people in the Fraser Valley area without public transit. So, yeah. And First Transit is an American company to which BC Transit is contracting out the drivers. So let's hope that that gets resolved soon, if that isn't resolved already. I hadn't heard more news about that since I documented it. In some not so great news, Canada is slipping among near peer countries when it comes to infant mortality. In the
I don't like that.
1980s, according to the OECD, which is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, Canada was among the top 10 nations in the world when it came to having low infant mortality rates. But now we rank 30th among the 38 wealthy nations that the OECD monitors. We slipped from top 10 to 30th. There are about 4.4 deaths per 1,000 births now in Canada, and it is more than double that among Indigenous communities. Dr. Andrew Basuri, who is a social medicine expert with the University of Health Network in Toronto, University Health Network Toronto in Toronto, says that poverty and systemic racism are driving higher rates of infant mortality than should ever be acceptable. It's no coincidence that countries that are faring better in these measures spend more on public education, housing, and social spending. They spend more on healthcare in certain areas, especially in access for maternal health, for mental health, prenatal care, and primary care. And York University's researcher Dennis Raphael said, increasingly, public health researchers and advocates are recognizing that many of the crises we are experiencing, of precarious work, of unaffordable housing, falling further behind other countries in infant mortality, are related to decisions that Canadians have accepted that we can't afford to take care of each other. People are ringing the alarms.
It's troublesome.
That makes me sad, because that was always something, when I was comparing, our healthcare system to the American healthcare system. They're saying, well, look at us on infant mortality. Look at us on mothers surviving childbirth as well, but not just mothers surviving. Look at all these numbers and look at our, why are we so much further? It's like, well, why is Bosnia and Herzegovina doing better than the United States on this measure?
Yeah.
Right. And well, we've allowed ourselves to slip.
We need to rectify that quickly. Well then, okay, I'm going to posit something here. Not necessarily a theory, but just sort of I'll throw it out there, connect the dots however you see. We have the federal Liberals are in charge federally. Most of the provinces in this country are run by Conservatives who scream for tax dollars for health care, but have been missing billions of dollars from federal funds over the last few years, and all of a sudden infant mortality has gone up. They won't pay healthcare workers to work in the public system, so now that they're funding private for-profit hospitals and clinics and then hiring away people from the public system to pay them twice but we still have a rise. And, you know, I'm just putting the dots out there. You connect them however you see.
Yep.
Can I lighten it for a sec? I
Please.
gotta lighten it because that was heavy. Wife, you ate a 2-pound bag of Reese's eggs. Me, if you deduct the bag and wrappers, it's only 1.89 pounds. Oh, and Theo's editor political cartoon for the day. More election meddling, mayor's race, Toronto. He's pictured as Dr. Evil.
Is that Dr.
Dougie
Evil or Dr.
Ford.
Claw? Oh no, that's Dr. Evil. Yeah, I was wondering if it was
Evil.
Dr. Claw
Yeah.
for a second there.
No,
Government
he's
speaker gadget.
got the kitty cat and the
Yep.
gray suit, and
Yep.
Dr. Evil. Oh, and here's one from Francis Maxwell that I just caught off the wire. The party of family values in quotations and law and order in quotations want you to know they're very upset that a thrice married, twice impeached, coup plotting, insurrection inciting, kitty grabbing sycophant is being criminally indicted and that it doesn't represent the America they support. Well,
You know, that's here's another thing, right? I was thinking about this morning as he's being indicted, and you know, and there's other things too, right? E. Jean Carroll, that lady, who was an author who has accused him of basically raping her in a dressing stall at Bergdorf's. I'm just thinking about like him saying that thing, like he's saying like he wouldn't have raped her because she wasn't his type. Thus, maybe implying that if he finds someone their type, then he does rape them because
he will
there's
rape
something
them.
like 12 allegations or something. And I'm just like thinking, it's like I'm gay, and I know you don't grab the kitty.
No, you don't do that.
You cajole the kitty.
You got to remember,
You caress the
a thrice married,
You don't-
multiple bankruptcies man who was raw dogging a porn star while his current wife, and that's how he's referred to, my current wife,
Yes.
was at home with his infant child.
Yes, and Lord knows.
Family values.
Yes. And again, not saying anything against Stephanie Clifford or Karen McDougal, but when you're raw dogging, you risk bringing presents home.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. And that's no commentary towards Stormy Daniels whatsoever. That's not the case.
No,
we're not shaming.
he's not doing that only with her.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, and not only bringing back presents back home, but if you're raw dogging, you could be given presidential presents. You could be giving presents to a whole lot of people. Unwanted gifts. You're a vector of disease.
Yeah.
So, anyway, but yes. Everybody who's listening, if you've not been close to a kitty, don't grab the kitty. Never grab the kitty. All right?
It's called sexual assault.
Just, man, I tell you.
Should we make T-shirts, Jen?
I got chlamydia from DJT.
All the STIs.
See, now I like the idea of that shirt because of what it says to DJT, but about DJT, but I'm not quite sure I would probably admit that I got it because I would have to admit what I did to catch it from him. I wouldn't be ashamed of the chlamydia. I'd be ashamed of how I acquired it. I did what? Is there video proof of this?
I beg your pardon.
Here's something that happened that made me happy, Mr. Grizzly. If you would put it up there, it's just a little video clip here.
I don't see anything.
You should see it now. No,
there we go. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Hang on a sec here. My computer's dragging right now, so bear with me while I get this together.
This is veteran American broadcaster Katie Couric, a legend in her field.
Mm-hmm.
Take a look.
I think probably in broadcast journalism, it's quite different because while men are allowed to age and look distinguished and avuncular,
We lionize silver-haired
Right.
men, don't we?
right? But when women start to show their age, it's jarring and off-putting and considered, not appealing to an audience, which is so infuriating, honestly. And I think part of it is because we don't have real role models of women being allowed to age naturally on television or even in other forms of media.
I remember being tired of it, well, many, many times over the years, especially when I was in specific like war zones and you realize, oh God, I've got 3 weeks. That's the window. You have 3 weeks before the roots start being obvious when you have really dark hair. So when it happened for me, I reached my max was when obviously the pandemic, all of the salons were closed in Toronto, and I mentally said, what am I doing here? I don't have time is the bottom line. You're too busy. You're covering like the weirdest, craziest story you've ever covered. And and I am not kidding. When you're in a newsroom and all of a sudden on a Friday, more than half the room leaves and you've got 4 people left and it's the city's shutting down, the world is shutting down. You're looking what's happening in Wuhan and in Parma in Italy, and you're thinking, what is going on here? The last thing you're thinking about is your hair.
I am so,
Legend.
I am so happy to see Lisa Laflamme getting attention stateside.
Mhm.
I always thought that she would be picked up by a media company here in Canada, but now I would not be surprised if she ultimately ends up on NBC or, well, she got picked up to do the royal thing as a special contract with City. But I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up on CNN or NBC stateside.
Oh, yeah. That could happen. Yeah.
Good for her.
Maybe as a Canadian correspondent, or who knows? Like I don't know if she'd want to move to the U.S.
Well, I mean, there's a
I don't know.
long tradition of famous American anchormen who were actually Canadian.
Yes.
Right?
Peter, not Peter Mansbridge, sorry.
Peter Jennings.
Thank you.
Yeah.
From Ottawa.
Yeah. And was it not the other ones? As soon as I said it, I knew all their names.
Lorne Green, but I don't think he was ever an anchor. He was the CBC announcer.
Yeah.
The voice of doom during World War II.
Yes.
Lorne Green reporting live from London during the Blitzkrieg.
And we have J.D. Roberts.
J.D. Roberts, yes.
Not
John Roberts now.
Roberts now. But there's a lot of...
He was with CNN, and now he's with Fox.
Yeah, that's an interesting decision. But yeah, it was really nice to see Lisa and talking about it now, right? And I mean, and I get that point. Right? The last thing you're thinking about in that moment is your hair. And I was like, what the hell am I doing? Why am I spending all this time on this? I got stuff to do. There's important stuff going on.
I'm busy.
Like, in particular at that time, like, people are dying.
I've been asked by a few people, why don't you diet? And I'm like, because that would be a lie. And as a man, I can do this. And people go, oh, I like it sexy. It's salt and pepper. It's this. It's this. I appreciate you. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, just trying to highlight the double standards we have for men and women in society. I can do this and it's cool. It's sexy. It's hot. I got young guys. How'd you get your beard like that? And I'm like, just live long enough. But a woman lets her hair go to its natural color and all of a sudden she's out of a job.
Yeah.
Not saying there's a double standard because there's just a gigantic double standard. That's all. I'm not saying that there is. There is. It's huge. It's massive.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I need another coffee.
All right.
I'll be back in a minute.
Okay. A little bit of news from Prince Edward Island, if you will, because there is a provincial election going on there. The election was called early by the current premier, Dennis King. He often likes to refer to himself as Denny King. Sounds a little bit too much like Denny Crane when he does that to me. When I heard that the first time, everybody knows me as Denny King. Kept on thinking of that show, Boston Legal, with William Shatner going around going, Denny Crane, if you've ever watched that. But there are 119 candidates running on Prince Edward Island for this election, like I said, which was called a little early by the premier. I guess he saw that his numbers were good and decided that going early was worth it for him. It seems that there are a little bit of controversies. Dennis King apparently went to a wake for the mayor of Alberton, which prevented him from participating in a diversity forum. And advocacy groups were not particularly happy about that. And it seems that there was also a comment that the premier had made earlier on in the campaign about transgender children that did not go over very well. And I'm looking for more information on that because I had taken a note of that. But unfortunately, I cannot seem to find it at the moment, which is very sad. But yes, he did make some comments about the issue of transgendered students, and which caused him to have to defend his record. It says here in an article on CBC that he's defending himself and his party's stance on protecting transgender rights after audio was released of him saying, quote, "You don't gotta drive everything down everybody's throat," when asked about trans issues. So it was just a 32-second clip that was released on social media, and he's talking to an unidentified voter about the community, the trans community on Prince Edward Island. He confirmed that the other person was one of his constituents in District 15, Brackley Hunty River, where he's seeking re-election for the April 3rd election. It hasn't been made public who the constituents was or where it took place. It was posted to social media by Kevin Arsenault, who ran against King in the 2019 PC leadership campaign. So more infighting among conservatives, causing leaks. So former leadership rival.
Well.
That party, and we always look at PEI when it comes to progressive conservatives as being a bastion of sanity, but I don't know. So King says that the entire conversation had lasted about 30 minutes and people shouldn't draw conclusions about it based on a short clip. Now, the clip transcribed in full is the voter says, "What else? Oh yeah, the trans situation." King goes, "Yeah." The voter says, "This is happening and getting forced down Islanders' throats here. And anybody that raises their hands, especially young women, young mothers that are trying to protect their kids, and we've got someone like Paul McKean, who's the publisher of the Graphic Weekly newspaper, basically, calling them crazies." Then King says something that's inaudible and says, "You can't have a conversation." Voter goes, "Well, that's it, and it needs to be." And King cuts him off and says, "In a perfect world, be happy with who you are. Go be happy with something that's inaudible. You don't got to drive everything down everybody's throat. And if they disagree, that's fine." So, I mean, there's far worse things that could be said. But wanting to live authentically, in case it needs to be said, is not driving an agenda down anybody's throat. Wanting to be
it's not.
who you are and having the freedom to be who you are and demanding that you get to be who you are is not driving an agenda down anybody's throat.
Well, one of the things that I like to discuss constantly and sometimes ad nauseum, which pisses off a few people, but too bad, I'm going to talk about it again, is my white privilege, my cis het white male privilege. I don't ever have to consider for one split second living my life inauthentically. I don't. Because my life is considered the baseline, right?
Right.
I didn't ask for it. It's just the way I was born. had no say in it. Now, there are millions of people who had to stay in the closet for centuries. I shouldn't say centuries, because there was a time when it wasn't an issue, and then it became an issue.
Right.
Right? So not centuries, but for many, many decades. But there was a time when, during the days of when men wore more makeup and wigs and clothing than women.
And heels and stockings.
In heels. Yeah, all of that, the powdered wigs. I mean, it was not a big issue. It was not even considered strange or like, when did that switch take place is what I'm curious about. And there's no mention of it in the Bible about how it's a sin, or it's never in there. It was a mistranslation. Anyway, I'm babbling. I saw something here that I thought was interesting, and I'm going to post it on the screen, and I'm like, ooh, this is a good one. This is from Sebby Wilson Jacobson from Rochester, New York, in a letter to the editor. Perhaps now is the time for all patriotic Americans who own assault weapons to donate them to Ukrainian soldiers.
Mm-hmm. Somebody was suggesting that. It's like, hey, let's even give a tax credit.
I'm like, wow, that's yeah. Maybe it will end the terror we keep seeing on a constant and basically daily basis of, another mass, and it could help people fight for freedom.
Yeah. Now, just to finish off on the Dennis King thing,
yes.
He basically said that it seems that he was recorded without his knowledge. He was not aware that he was being recorded. And he said, I think that's just indicative of a conversation you have from time to time at a door, where you try to get to the bottom of where somebody is thinking and where their thought process has developed from. If I recall that conversation, it was more around the situation of the individual's thoughts of the book reading incident that was happening at the King's Playhouse in Georgetown. And that was a planned drag storytime reading at the theater that became the focus of online protests in February, and it had to be postponed until April 15th, which conveniently is after the election. It is important to note. My whole point, he continues, I guess would continue to be that when we have to be able in the society that we live in to have a conversation. Hate and homophobia and discrimination has no place in the world, but we have to be able to have a conversation with everybody about these difficult transitional issues. He said that he was trying to understand why that person had that specific opinion. Now, even though he has apologized, and then he said the people at PI Transgender Network still found the incident disappointing. They said that they understood the taped exchange as King saying he doesn't believe the transgender community is in fact shoving our existence down people's throats. Fuchs had called it a very disgusting answer and spineless given what King has said at the Leaders Forum on Thursday. A true ally, this is a quote, would have confronted the anti-trans rhetoric that the individual Dennis King was speaking to was putting forward and ended the conversation or made room for trying to teach this individual. Our community has been and is currently under attack by anti-trans movements that are occurring on Prince Edward Island, and to not have direct and strong support from the leader of this province is unsurprising but also extremely disappointing, which caused another apology from King in a statement saying, I should have more forcefully stood up for the transgender community, and I apologize unreservedly to those who are rightly offended by my lack of action. I had an opportunity in that moment to be a stronger ally for rights of transgender people, and I fell short of the expectations of both myself and Islanders. I can and will do better. That is an actual apology.
Yes, it is.
No, I'm sorry if you're offended.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm sorry, but I had an opportunity and I fell short. I can and will do better. Okay.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of this a little bit. Hang on a sec. I'll just pull this up. Let's see if I can get this to go.
Linda asks, will you release a statement on Transgender Day of Visibility today? That would probably be a very good start.
Be a good time to do it. It kind of reminds me of this right here.
Oh yeah, you better be careful with that. Actually.
No, I'm just going to throw 30 seconds and we're good.
Okay.
As I apologize for using the phrase Chinese whispers. I appreciate that this is deeply offensive to the Chinese. I completely understand why they went totally mental. I'm delighted to be joined by a mental health campaigner to witness my apology for using the phrase, they've gone mental. I can see some of you are surprised that I'm apologizing, but no.
Yeah. So yeah, the reason why I'm saying we have to do that is because we got a warning a couple of days ago that the other episode that we used this character in only in Russia. However, they
is that what it was? It was for that.
It was
one?
for that one. Yeah, yeah. When we were using the one, the other one, because we showed more of it. So yeah, because I was looking at thing, we never used that, and then I saw the title, "Cop something." Oh yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Scott Squad.
That's pretty much it. Yeah. It's like
I'd like to apologize for my
Your
apology.
was good. Okay, I need to apologize again.
I have something here I need to share with everybody. That's you know how I always say, some people are capable of having a beer at lunch or a glass of wine at lunch during the workday, and I'm like, I can't do that. If I have a beer at lunch, the rest of my afternoon it's done. Right. There's no work left in me.
Right.
I've immediately switched to chill out mode, and that's it.
Right.
Well, my friends, look what I have.
Ooh, Le Guinness Zero. It has finally arrived.
Well, it's not arrived in Canada, but my friend just got back from his winter in Florida, and he brought me back a 4-pack. He brought back a 4-pack for a bunch of us. Like, we all, said, get as much as you can. And he bought up everything he could find. It's in very high demand because, look, if you open it and drink it on its own, it's just like a Guinness. Now, if you put it beside another Guinness and sip a regular Guinness and sip this, you'll notice the difference. Right. It's slightly sweeter. But on its own, it tastes just like a Guinness. So it's like, I can have a beer at lunch. Yay. I can have a Guinness at lunch because it's got no alcohol. That's a Friday for you, my friends. That's how you start your Friday off right.
He's a happy man. That's a happy bear.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Grizzly, I think we have a show. What do you think?
I think so. I think so. Yeah. I don't think there's anything else that was really pressing that we could discuss. We did that. Yeah. I think we're good. I think we've got a show.
Right. Fantastic. Kids, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver. We hope that you enjoyed this episode because we really loved making it for you. Remember that sharing is caring and that word of mouth is priceless. So please let your peeps know about us because democracy is something that you do. Let your MPs, your MPPs, your senators, all them know that you're still demanding better. And if you happen to live on PEI, keep an eye out today on your premier. See what he does. If you really like this podcast, you can find us on the Crier Media Network, as well as all Beaver Grizzly friendly platforms. Stars and reviews are greatly appreciated if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts. And if you're not, well, then if you could take some time to go to Apple Podcasts and leave us some stars and some reviews, we'd appreciate that very, very, very much. We love to hear from you, so please reach us on our Facebook. Yes, True North Eager Beaver. Oh, what's that there? Love to share one with you someday, Mr. Grizz. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, Jim's a really great guy too. So we love to hear from you. So you can reach us on our Facebook page, True North Eager Beaver, our Twitter feed at True Eager, or by email at truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com, or leave a comment on our YouTube offerings. We read everything, so thank you very much. You can subscribe to our pod page, podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver, and we will send stuff to you as soon as it's fresh off the bandwidth. And if you are watching us on YouTube, why don't you smash that button and subscribe as well to our True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube channel, and that helps us out big time. We are closing in on the 200s. They're not going up as fast as they have been over the past little bit. So it's like we're being teased, or like at 196 or something like this. And you're just like, are we going to do it? Are we going to do it? No, not today. So, but yeah, I keep checking. It's like
It's like I'm going to be going to Disney World, and it's like I'm too excited to sleep. I want to see this. I want to see that too. So if it happens, that would be great. And when we're talking about some kits giving us some feedback, Mr. Grizzly, we do have some wonderful feedback here. We have Kit Steven on our Facebook page saying, "It's so nice to see your rise to fame as it is happening. Too often we only get to experience the end result when it's the journey that's most important. Best wishes and kind thoughts." So these are kits that are celebrating our success with us.
Thank you.
The majority report with Sam Cedar on the chart too. That's when we were celebrating the fact that we hit 99. And bravo, well done, onwards and upwards, says Kit Jerry. The previous comment was from Kit Edgison Marcus as well. Kit Bernadette wrote in to say, "Great podcast, guys," to us. So just a little
Thank you.
boys. We like that. And then we had another Kit write in and say, "Hello, Mr. Beaver. I really enjoy your show and was hoping to watch you on Around the Horn, my side hustle. Can you tell me on what platform it's on? I've looked on YouTube." So I sent all of that. I'm also going to tune in tomorrow evening for Casual Friday with you and James, which is tomorrow evening, actually is this evening.
This evening.
I really enjoy your personality and I'm glad you're making the rounds. Well, thank you so very much for enjoying my personality. I appreciate your show. It helps to wade through all the manure and try to figure out the facts. It's disappointing that we can no longer trust news media to do this. You and Mr. Grizzly have good insight and I appreciate you.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Flattery will get you everywhere.
Well, right. How's that for some love?
Mm-hmm.
That's some
Everybody
beautiful
could
love.
use some love, right? Everybody could use some love.
Right. So that was from Kit Laney. So thank you very much, Kit Laney. And other things that we ask kits to do every now and then, because I like to cook, of course, and I have a little hashtag that's called Kits Who Cook that I put on when I make little creations, and sometimes the kits help with that. So over here, I was feeling like I wanted dessert, so I made some ginger snap Dutch chocolate ice cream sliders because I was out of ice cream cookies.
So just diabetes on a plate.
Diabetes on a plate. Thank you, big. Hey, I know how I'm going down. Kit Adam sent us this one. Steak had a crunch on the outside, but was super tender. The asparagus was garlicky and spicy, and the quinoa had a nice creamy texture from the avocado. Acted like a palate cleanser between bites. And look at the cook on that steak. I want some of that. That's good stuff.
This is the way.
This is the way. So yeah, and then of course I had to, because now we had to compete. So I had to make my oven-baked garlic cumin tarragon pork chop with fried rice. So what are you eating, kits? Show me what you're eating. Show it to me on your plate, though. Don't show me
I'll
seafood.
have a barley sandwich later.
Don't show me seafood. Show it on your plate. Kids. This is your eager beaver telling you that it can be a tough world out there. So please be kind to and gentle with yourself. Mr. Grizzly, do you have some words of wisdom to set us off for a wonderful weekend?
Well, I don't know if it's words of wisdom, but a friend of ours from the network, Emmeline.
Okay, yes.
She's been on James' shows a couple of times.
Yes.
Well, she just, according to her, she says, hang on, let me just double check. I want to make sure I get this right. She says, it feels amazing to cross off a lifetime bucket list goal. And let me show you that goal.
Okay.
Her bucket list goal, Emma Rose, or Emmeline, as we've come to know her. She's going to be on the Naked News.
No way. Good for her.
Yeah, I think that's kind of awesome.
I have a friend that was on the Naked News many years ago.
Yeah.
Male, one of the male readers, many years.
It's shot in Toronto. Huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I didn't know it still existed. I thought it was
way to go, Emmeline.
For a while and then it disappeared. But yeah, if that's
still
what if that was a goal of yours, you're pursuing it, then way to go.
Well, but I remember when it first came out, my buddy says, you got to check this out. And I'm like, okay, what is it, porn? He goes, no, it's the news hard-hitting news read by somebody in the nude. I'm like, what? So the first time I watched it, I was like, holy crap. And who was her name? Victoria. She was the very first anchor they hired. I'm like, she has a spectacular anchor voice for radio and television, because, I mean, she was a very attractive woman as well. But I'm like, she missed her calling in life. And like, no, this is my calling, to do the news naked. I'm like, well, you know, good on you. I like
Victoria
that.
Sinclair.
Victoria Sinclair, thank you.
Yep.
Outstanding voice, and an absolute pro when it comes to delivering the news.
Yep.
I mean, if you close your eyes and listen, it's like it could be. Well, I'll use as a reference, because we just watched a clip, Lisa LaFlamme.
Mm-hmm.
In that same, I put her in the same level. Maybe not the same level of experience, but the same level of professionalism when it came to delivering the news.
She was the only anchor when it started.
Oh, the only one. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I had a friend that joined that for a while as well. So yeah, I had actually heard about the naked news for the longest time, so I thought it had gone out of business. There you go.
Naked people delivering the news, that'll never go out of business.
Well, just as we said, there's a market for everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this, and I think we've talked about it on the show. I for charity. I think it was for charity. I think we did Naked Boys reading. I've participated in that twice in Ottawa. So yeah, it's kind of weird at first, and then you just kind of
relax
into it. If you're well, I mean, like the nudity is almost a novelty, but at one point, if you start paying attention to the actual news, you kind of forget the person's naked, and it's the same thing with the Naked Boys reading type thing. Once you start getting into what the person's actually reading, it's titillating, like for 5 seconds as someone's walking on, and then that's about it. So, all right, kids, have a wonderful weekend, and we hope to see you on Monday. And if you are joining us for Casual Fridays tonight, well, it will be my debut as a co-host at the invitation of our good friend James.
What happened? What happened? Oh, we lost Mr. Beaver. I thought it was me for a sec. It looks like, oh wow, all kinds of issues right now. Terribly sorry about that. Maybe we'll get him back in a second. Ooh, food truck. Yeah, that sounds. Nudity only matters if it's pointed at you. What'd the elephant say to the naked man? How do you breathe through that tiny little thing? That's funny. Laugh. Go ahead. Feel free. Knock yourselves out. All right, kids, we're going to take our leave. I'll wait a few seconds, see if Mr. Beaver can make it back in, but it looks like his system is frozen. The technology was like, you are done now. Yes, that is correct. Yes, you're done now. That's it. It's time for you to go home. Sometimes that does happen, and we apologize. You like that, did you, Jen? We apologize when the technology goes sideways. That's just how technology is, and it can be very frustrating and very upsetting, but we try and roll with it. We can. Hey, look, we gave you 2 hours and 2 hours plus of a show today, virtually glitch free. So I'd say that's a win. We'll chalk that up in the win column. What do you think? I think we should. So thanks to our title sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, CanadianTarot.com, and the Pepper Master. As you do know, you can find us on any place on earth where you get your fine podcasts. We are available everywhere. If you want to leave us some stars on Apple, we appreciate that. 5 is the recommended dosage. Did you get the double entendre there? Okay. All right. I'm reaching, and I need another cup of coffee, and I also have to go get rid of the last 3 that I had. Yeah, I'm tired. Look, I'm running on 3 hours sleep. This is what happens. I will pop into Casual Friday this evening. I'm going to be working on some edits for the show for James, and it'll be good to have everybody back in the house. Until we meet again, my friends, you do take care of yourself. Remember, as Mr. Grizzly or Mr. Beaver always says, be kind to and gentle with yourself. Oh, look at this. We've got a beaver back, I think. Is he frozen? He's here. Oh, I'll just put him in the green room until he's... Oh, it looks like he's working. Sort of working. You're almost there. Kind of. Signal is. It reminds me of, remember when the Shopping Channel first came on and it was done in like slow stop motion? They didn't have live action. That's kind of what you look like, the
Right.
Shopping Channel when it first went to air. You remember that? Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely some sort of, it looks like a bandwidth issue or something, or maybe a processing issue. I don't know, but it's,
Everything is, I am so sorry.
yeah, you're muffled. No, it's okay. It's fine. I got through. All right, let's roll the credits and get on out of here.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Technology was trying to make sure that I could not say goodbye and wish you off to a good weekend, but I win. Ha!
Technology foiled.
Haha. And no, Mr. Rika, I'm not a deep fake. This is actual me.
See ya.